Hey, what's going on? This is Charles, and this is the Day-to-Day Show, where I talk about this and that and this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this and that, what have you. And so I actually have some things to talk about. We're going to go on a little journey, okay? We're going to go on a little journey. So I was checking my statistics from my wonderful podcast, my little bitty podcast, and one of the countries where people are actually listening to this podcast, you probably wouldn't believe it, but it's Belgium. And so I was like, wow, Belgium. Either this is legitimate, someone's actually listening from Belgium, or this is a bot or whatever, whatever they use nowadays, a bot, and it's just a little it's a little computer that simulates as a user, so it's not even real. But anyways, I'm just going with the assumption that this is real. So I started thinking, what is Belgium known for? So I started looking it up, and obviously it came back chocolate, different types of pastries. I'm with you already. I'm already with you, and then I started looking up like people who are known from being from Belgium, and there's different people listed, and there's one name, and the person's name was Adolphe Sax. I think his first name was actually Antoine, and maybe his middle name was Adolphe. His last name was Sax. So this guy was the inventor. He was the inventor of, based on Wikipedia, this guy was the inventor of the saxophone. And so I started looking at this guy. I'm like, if you really start thinking about it, like how easy or how complex is it to build an instrument? Like, let me build this tube that we can blow air in, and we're going to be able to use these little dials and make sound come out of it. I mean, maybe I sound ridiculous, but the other part about this person, Adolphe Sax, is this person was known to have faced many brushes with death as a young child. And so I started reading it, and I'm like, okay, what actually happened to him? It said that he once fell, I'm reading this, he once fell from a height of 3 floors, hit his head on a stone, and was believed dead. At the age of 3, he drank a bowl full of acidic water, mistaking it for milk. Where were the parents? Where was the... He also swallowed a pin. I'm not done yet. He received serious burns from gunpowder explosion, and once fell onto a hot stove. Several times he avoided accidental poisoning and asphyxiation from sleeping in a room where varnished furniture was drying. Another time, young little Sax, was struck on the head by a cobblestone and fell into a river and almost died. Now, I'm sorry, but let me go back a little bit. Let me go back to this. Okay, good news, he lived, all right? The good news is that he lived, and he ended up creating the saxophone. Now, but I need to back up to this. He received several times he avoided accidental poisoning. That sounds a little fishy. Accidental poisoning. How many times? Several times? How many times do you have to go through the situation where you're accidentally almost poisoned? I'm sorry. I think someone was either jealous. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for the guy here. I mean, turns out he had a brother. You don't hear anything about his brother, and his brother's name was Charles. It wasn't me. But I mean, I think it's crazy how, here's a quote from his mom. He's a child condemned to misfortune. He won't live. He became known locally as the ghost child of Dinon. Dinon. Sorry, I don't have the French accent exactly. Dinon. But that was actually the city that he lived in, which later became like part of Belgium, I believe, if all my reading was correct. But man, that was crazy, man. How do you have so many different brushes with death, and then you end up surviving it? You end up overcoming it, if you will. And then he created the saxophone. His parents were instrument makers. I don't know if any of this is even interesting to anybody, I feel like, but I'll just keep on going. So this guy made this. So then he had to battle a lot of like battles with like his patents, because he had patents on his instrument. And I guess other people were trying to steal his patents. Maybe I need to do more research. I don't know. But I will say that this particular instrument has influenced a lot of different music, right? And so then I looked up, I went to Spotify and I'm like, oh, let me just look up like some saxophone songs. And so I listened to this first one. I'm like, oh man, this is cool. This is smooth. You know, I'm chilling. I'm vibing, as the young people say. I'm vibing. But then I looked at that artist from what was playing in Spotify. I was like, who is this? You know, I looked it up. Their pictures looked a little weird. It turns out it was an AI artist. AI generated. Music generated by AI. Which then I kind of felt like I got tricked. I got bamboozled. But anyways, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today in this episode. The other thing is that here's a question that has popped up into my mind recently, is like, why do people want to see other people fail? I mean, maybe that's what whoever was going after good old Adolphe Sax, you know, who's ever, you know, accidentally trying to poison him, maybe they wanted to see him fail. But what is it about even people nowadays? We want to see people fail. You know, remember on YouTube, you would see playlists and tons of videos like YouTube fails, you know, sport fails, you know, Shacked in a Fool. You know, Shacked in a Fool is basically pinpointing all the mistakes of the players. So what is it about that makes people want to see other people fail? You know, maybe it's because in it of themselves, they don't want people to point at them. You know, maybe they're afraid of failing. Maybe they're afraid of doing something. You know, so it's easy for them to point at other people and be like, ha ha, ha 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 ha. You know, okay, so I've been talking about how I want to try, this is funny, I've been talking about how I want to try stand-up comedy, and I was talking to one of my friends who I worked with a while back, and I'm like, yeah, man, I want to try this comedy thing, I want to try to get up on stage, and you know, I need to stop saying try, because there is no try, there is only do. I think I messed that up. I think it's a quote from Yoda. But I was talking to one of my friends, and I was telling him, yeah, I want to try this stand-up comedy. And he was like, well, whenever you do it, let me know, because I want to see it. And I'm like, wait a minute, do you want to see it to like give me support, or do you want to see me fail? And he's like, oh, well, I'll bring my own popcorn. Oh, what a funny guy. What a funny guy. But yeah, I just, you know, I don't know. I don't want to see people fail. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm just like you. Just like all the other people in the world. And maybe I shouldn't make a general statement, but, you know, bloopers. You know, we used to watch this show called America's Funniest Videos. And, you know, a lot of it was like dad getting hit in the business with like a baseball bat. You know, Or it's like a dad getting on a skateboard like, look what I can do. And then he just falls and, you know, almost breaks his hip. I don't know. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. That's what's been going on in my mind. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Belgium and Adolphe Sax. Man, if I really do have a listener from Belgium, I just want to say I appreciate you. And if you're a real person, you know, not a bot or not AI, then I just want to say thanks for listening. I hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful Sunday. You guys take care. Talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys on the next episode.